pomp and circumstances for the home opener. But I ask the Southern fan base this right here. Would you rather be where you are right now? Would you rather be the Jackson State fan base that's looking up at FAMU? So I think nothing is lost. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. All things being equal, nothing's lost on the season.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Joshua, since we're talking about programs on the ledge, you got A&T. The Aggies are 0-2. Should they get off the ledge?
No, they should perch themselves right there on the ledge. They're going to be all right. They're a long way away from even taking a step back from the ledge. As a matter of fact, they're a little bit more. So I used to watch cartoons when I was a kid, and, Woody Woodpecker would be running so fast, or he would run all the way out to the middle of the dam, and then he would just fall down. That's about where they at right now. They are running so fast and so quickly that they are in the middle of the overall dam, and now they're getting ready to fall down. And it's a good opportunity for them to look themselves in the mirror and figure out who they really are. Doc, I got to say this because I've been saying it all year. I've been saying it since I got into this game. I've been saying it. Conference alignment does not mean that your program has made a step up. That is a lateral move, and this is for those people who think that the CAA is so good. Watch what we do to your little CAA this season. Watch how we punch every single team in that conference in the mouth. And you want to know the reason why we're going to do it? It's going to be because of the team I just said that's on the ledge. We told you that because of the past, that does not mean that conference is better than we are. And we're going to punch them, every single team in the mouth. Elon, Campbell, we already took care of New Hampshire. They got to come to the Bull City next year. We're going to run off 7 straight against that conference. So everybody who thinks that conference is even a little bit better or that they on a lateral move, we're going to make all of y'all be quiet. And we're not inviting you back to the NEAC too, by the way. We're not inviting you. Don't think you're not coming back. You ain't coming back.
I'm just so proud. I'm just so proud of Joshua that he didn't. Charles, I'm just so proud that he didn't tell him to jump off the ledge.
Yeah. Hampton, you lost to Norfolk yesterday. Hampton.
Yeah, I was going to add that one.
I was waiting on somebody head on that
Hampton one. That everybody just was charming about.
HBCU killers.
Hampton said not so fast. The battle of the base.
Who y'all think? Y'all know who y'all think y'all are. Man, don't tell me that that's not a lateral move. That's a lateral move. And now it's looking like a backward move. So watch us do work, and y'all stay y'all butts on the ledge. Y'all are so far away from being even a decent program right now that you can't look yourself in the mirror. This is time for you to be looking yourself in the mirror. And shout out to Coach Washington. I heard you was at practice this week.
Somebody woke up with violence.
And chose violence. Speaking of that Central A&T, we're going to get into that score when we break it down. But A.D. Drew, who do you believe needs to walk off the ledge, get off the ledge? Who you see on the ledge out there?
Well, I want to add one thing to what Josh just said. If we want to see if order has been restored, let's see if Howard wins the Battle of the HU when those two come up. Then everything that Josh said gets an exclamation point if Howard finally gets their H back and defeats Hampton in the Battle of the real HBCU. But the team right now, they may not be on the ledge, but they need to check the other end and make sure that the platform is solidly closer to the base is Albany State. 0-2, the Quinn Gray era is not going how a lot of people down here in South Georgia expected it to go. So that maybe not get off the ledge, but they need to make sure that the base is solidly connected to the ground while they're out there on that board.
Man, I'm just so glad y'all didn't tell people to walk the plank because y'all ain't right. They said we're going to do the top 7 major poll rankings and see who's that close to the ledge and why these people say get off that ledge. According to some of them, you stay your butt out there on the ledge. We'll decide whether you need to walk the plank or not. With that being said, let me get these last 7 and we'll take our first break. At number 7 this week is Jackson State Tigers. They defeated Southern Jaguars 27-14. 2-1 overall in the season, still 0-1. They were formerly number 4. They dropped to number 7, but they righted the ship at least in week number 2. At number 6, you have Hampton Pirates lost to the Norfolk State Spartans 31-23. They were in the poll rankings, but they were previously not ranked. But look at them now. Ooh-wee. Another team at number 5 lost. There were 4 teams in the top 7 that lost. Alabama State Hornets lost to the Division II SIAC's Miles Golden Bears 21-17. The Hornets are 1-1 on the season, and that means 2 MEAC teams that lost to CIAA and 2 SWAC teams that lost to the SIAC. I guess SWAC teams wanted to even it up with the MEAC so that things could continue to flourish in that fighting work. Number 4, Prairie View and Panthers lost to Abilene Christian 45-16, and I'm not sure if it was that close. 1-1, 1-0, ugly game there, but I will move on. At number 3, Morgan State Bears lost to Akron Zips 24-21. This one was a heartbreaker. We'll get in a little dialogue in terms of what this one looks like, but you talking about taking victory from the jaws of defeat. Oh man, that was so close on what could have been. And number 2, Florida A&M Rattlers lost to the South Florida Bulls 1-1. They acquitted themselves really well in that matchup, put up a lot of points. So interesting to see what that looks like. At number 1, North Carolina Central Eagles defeated North Carolina A&T State Aggies 30-16. And I'm not sure that game was that close, as one of the touchdowns scored by the Aggies was a kickoff return right after Central scored. So it was a beat down in so many different ways. But with that saying, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll get into some of these games of the week with a little more dialogue in terms of what took place so we can get you ready for your Sunday. And this week, as you decide how much you are ready to cheer your team next week or how much you may need a little more favor. With that being said, let's get into our first break.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
You see, press the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBC Sports Lab. We have mid-major classic game of the week. That was Rocky Mount, North Carolina, Rocky Mount Sports Complex, Down East Viking Football Classic, CIAA matchup. Elizabeth City State Vikings, as they were fighting from the bottom. I mean, overall, in terms of rankings, they do get a victory as they defeat St. Augustine Falcons and find a way to get it done. It was a struggle, but shutout to say the least. That is 13-0 as the Vikings beat up on the Falcons. Joshua Sims, any thoughts in terms of this matchup in terms of Fayetteville State?
Yeah, well, in this matchup,
Elizabeth City State.
Yeah, it's really a battle between. This is a Down East Classic that happens. I happen to be also from Wilson, North Carolina, so Rocky Mount is a sister city that's right there across the highway. And man, these two teams, no matter what the record is, they battle it out like this, man, year in and year out. I personally thought that this was going to be the year that St. Aug was going to be able to get over the hump against Elizabeth City State and kind of dominate, man. I thought that running game that they have there at St. Aug was going to be a little bit too much, but kudos to the Elizabeth City State defense, man. Played a really, really stout game in the fourth quarter in particular. Really, really stood tall in the second half. And I wasn't surprised at the turnout, but I really had this going the other way. I had St. Aug winning this game, but shout out to Elizabeth City State and getting that victory early in the CIAA, because we know that the CIAA is going to be very, very tough, and they have a very tough schedule. They got to play against some teams that's going to kind of push them to the margin. So looking forward to seeing how this looks for Elizabeth City State going forward. Looking to see St. Aug kind of bounce back as the season goes along. But this one was a tough one, man. I saw it the other way, but absolutely glad and happy that it went in Elizabeth City State's favor yesterday.
Charles, I think you called this on last Tuesday a little bit about the Vikings in a lot of ways. What are your overall thoughts in terms of them being able to get that W?
Yeah, I echo Josh sentiments on this one. That was a big win for Elizabeth City State. I tell you what, and I remember pulling up the stats I believe from the first week from Elizabeth City State. I saw some things that I liked, and I was able to correctly make the call on this. But tough battle, 13-0. You take a look at it, and you kind of question if this is going to be one of those games that really propels this Elizabeth City State team, especially like you said. Take a look at some of the games they got coming up. They are in a dog-eat-dog conference up there in the CIAA, especially in regards to the teams you know that they got to face. So it's
they in the North Division. You can
they're in the North. They in the North, and the North
like,
remembers.
How we in North Carolina the only team that got to get pushed up to the North?
Yeah,
they right on that borderline, man. Geographically, they right on that borderline.
Oh, that is true.
City is right there on the borderline, man.
In fact, I got a chance to go to the campus, and it's 30 minutes away at most from Norfolk, and so it's right there. You'd almost be surprised. With that, AD Drew, I'm gonna go at least to your home state there, Jefferson City, Missouri. The White T. Reed State of Independent Programs MIAA action. Charles said maybe Lincoln get it done. I thought Lincoln get it done. Not only did they not get it done, but the Griffins grifted all over Lincoln and Tigers, 68-14 in that matchup. What are your thoughts, AD?
Man, what y'all don't understand, those non-HBCUs in the state of get those country cornbread fed people, and they dominate because the HBCU talent the African-American talent in the St. Louis and Kansas City area tend to go out of the state. So everything else that stays in the state, goes to those Truman states, those Missouri Westers, those Missouri Northwest Missouri states and Missouri states and Southeast Missouri states and those type schools. And let's be real. I lived in Jefferson City, Missouri. I worked in Jefferson City, Missouri. I even did some work for Lincoln University when I was living in Jefferson City, Missouri. Are you going to go there if you're a 3 or 4 star by choice? No offense to Lincoln. My brother graduated from Lincoln, but I'm being real.
Charles, you tried to follow my lead. We tried to find a way for Missouri to win a game. Will they win a game this year?
Gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight.
We gotta wait to basketball season and that's all I can say. We got some good hoops in that area, but football is not our thing in that area.
Good stuff. Let's get on to it and get in a little bit. I got one more mid-major game I want to give you. and I'm gonna start with you, AD Drew. We kind of teased this out. Top 7 matchups for the best mid-major game of the week, really, in terms of rankings. You had Tuskegee Golden Tigers 2-0, defeating Kentucky State Thoroughbreds that were ranked 36-10. Really pushed them around a lot. That was in Kentucky, so I thought Kentucky might have a chance. Alumni Stadium, but not to be. What were your thoughts in terms of that matchup?
Order is still in place in the SIAC. You know, Tuskegee still has never forgotten about 2016 every year that we played Kentucky State. And that was the year Kentucky State knocked us out of an opportunity to get to almost knocked us out of an opportunity to get to the playoffs by upsetting us on homecoming. And if it was not for Reggie Barlow, Tuskegee never makes it to the playoffs that year. Golden Tiger fans have never forgotten that. Gave Reggie Barlow his only victory against Tuskegee because he couldn't do it when he was at Alabama State. He had to wait till he went to Virginia State in order to do it. But looking at these stats, Dr. Cavil, Tuskegee totally dominated this game. They doubled up Kentucky State and then some, outgaining them on offense 314 to 124. That is total domination. And you know how you look at when if you dominated the game, when you look at your punts. You know, Tuskegee only punted the ball 2 times, and when your opponent returns more kickoffs than you, chances are you're going to win the game because there's only 1 kickoff guaranteed per game for each team. So when they're winning the kickoff stat, yeah, that's a good day for your team.
I'm gonna open it up to this and go to each of y'all. And CIAA, the top teams in the CIAA or the top teams in the SIAC. AD Drew, starting back with you. Which way you going? I think I know you. You kind of by default you might have to.
Give me that question again.
In terms of the top teams in the CIAA and the top teams in the SIAC, which way you leaning?
I'm gonna go contrary to what you may think, Dr. Cavil. But Virginia State has impressed the hell out of me on this young season.
Yeah,
Dr. Cavil, of all the teams, you know, we expect Virginia Union to be good. We know Benedict is dominant in the SIAC, but Virginia State has really impressed me. But what may swing it back to the SIAC's favor is the fact that Miles is back in the football business in the SIAC with an opportunity to go. Well, first time they've started off 2-0 since 2019, which is only the second time in this century that Miles has started off 2-0, despite all the dominance Miles has had in the SIAC. Let's think about that.
I love that data point. Good stuff. Charles, I know you want to get in there. Which way you leaning?
Well, let me ask this a real quick question. Is Miles back in the football business, or did they rise to the occasion against a rival?
That's the question.
Well, they took care of Lane like they were supposed to last week. Let me ask this question. Let me answer your question with the question, Charles. Alabama State is the one common data point that we have from Miles to Southern, because Alabama State defeated Alabama State defeated Southern, but lost to Miles. So is Miles that good using the Alabama State factor, or is Southern that much in trouble using I didn't want to say bad, using the Alabama State factor, because that's the one data point where these two teams have played. So does that mean Miles is on the uprise based on Alabama State, or Southern is on the downrise considering they lost to Alabama State and the Jackson State?
Hold on, we gonna spin that and we're gonna flip it to the next segment so we can get a little more into the major division. But we're gonna keep it simple here. Joshua Sims Sr., CIAA, SIAC.
Right now, man, I got to go with the SIAC, man. They find a way to continue to keep beating the major level programs, man. And honestly, you know, if this was last week I said it was the CIAA. This week I'm going to SIAC. You know, this could change again next week.
I like it.
But the reality is, man, I got to show some love to that SIAC, man. They continue to keep doing it week after week. And at some point, the SWAC and maybe even the MEAC, we're going to stop putting the SIAC on the darn schedule. And
we need them checks, man. We need them checks down here on the D2 level, man.
I know y'all need them checks, but I almost rather y'all go get them checks from a home game, play against somebody else. Because y'all keep embarrassing us, man. It keep happening, man. And so
yeah, we gotta keep it real.
We gotta keep it real, man.
Me ain't doing great on this side, beating the Colonial, but then they turn around and flip the score and they lose it to the CIAA. How do you explain it? And then the SWAC, don't speak of it. You got to match up with Pine Bluff and Miles this weekend. Charles, quickly, one more time. CIAA, SIAC, what you doing?
I think the love has to go to the SIAC right now. I mean, you take a look at it. 2 big out-of-conference wins, Central State over Valley. And then yesterday, Miles over Alabama State. I got some question marks about Alabama State, especially scoring the football, but that's a good win.
No doubt about it. Week number 2 and SIAC 2-1 in CIAA. I was surprised. I'll take that. We'll come right back after our second break, turn it over. We're going to get into some major division talk and see about some of these key matchups and see what these gentlemen think. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Come on, Daytona Beach. Been a long time.
Let's get into this break.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CD. Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBC Sports Lab. We've been joined by Mike. He is in the airport. Looks like he's in a bar. Just Mike, how do you find a bar every time you travel? You got some mimosa around there? What do you drink?
Man, you know the bar ain't even open, and I travel so
Bloody
much.
Mary, what you asking for?
They actually waving at me, and they pouring my mimosa. They can't officially open, but they are pouring my drink. They are literally laughing at me.
Oh my goodness! Put the mute on, Mike. Put the mute on, Mike. We just need to bring it back sometime. Man, Charles, is that the Mike we know?
That is exactly the Mike we know.
Oh man, see Joshua. Wait till we hook back up in Atlanta. He gonna be talking about shot.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Mike, I don't know how in the world you found the bar at the darn airport this early in the morning. But salute, my brother. Salute, my brother. Salute.
Hey, you got to go some kind of way. Give me all I got coming to me. Hey.
Everybody else looking for Starbucks. Mike looking for the bar.
Goddamn right.
Man, I tell you, with that being said, we're going to start with this Pine Bluff Tennessee State matchup. Tennessee State got it done, 24-14. Tennessee State improves to 1-1 on the season, and Arkansas Pine Bluff falls to 0-2. Coming out of the matchup, Tennessee State had a 99-yard. It looked like maybe Pine Bluff could get back into it as they were down 14-0 and driving. It was not to be, and they ultimately fall 24-14. Charles, what were your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Since you're so familiar with the Southern Heritage Classic, not quite the same, but still a great ball game with all that said.
Yeah, it looks like Tennessee State, they advanced that loss from a couple of seasons ago to UAPB. But going into this game, I knew it was going to be big for UAPB to try to corral Jalen Ross. He goes for 17 carries, 91 yards. But Davian Bryant from the quarterback position, big day in the air, 174 yards in the air, but hurt him with his legs, 80 yards on the ground. But keep an eye out for this name, because I noticed he's had two really good games for UAPB in a row, and that's Jonas Davis. Rushed for 167 yards yesterday for UAPB. Had a really good game against Tulsa as well, where he rushed for over 80 yards, I believe. But this UAPB, they look revived. They were down 17-0 going into the third quarter in this game, and they fought their way back in the fourth quarter, but they go down in a loss here for Tennessee State.
Good stuff there, Charles. Going to you, Mike. What are your thoughts in terms of the Southern Heritage Classic version this year, Tennessee State and Pine Bluff?
Well, first of all, I wanted to know what the official attendance was. I never got that. Second of all, I do echo CB's comments on Jonas Davis. He did look good. I guess the quandary I have is, here's a data point. They didn't get most of their running yards until the third and fourth quarter. They didn't score until the fourth quarter. They scored 2 touchdowns. Was that a function of Tennessee State letting up? Was that Arkansas Pine Bluff finally takes the Kool-Aid and said, hey, we got to move this way? I don't know. But you saw some life out of Pine Bluff finally in the fourth quarter. That was my one takeaway. And I do this kid, Jonas Davis, I'd never heard of him coming into the season, but he showed me something coming out of this game.
Good stuff. Mike, take a break. Go ahead and sip some for us in the morning. We'll come back to you shortly as we're going to go into Joshua Sims Sr. I've been looking for this because I didn't know if A&T was purposely hiding this show because, I tried all I could with Flow Sports and all I could do was just follow it on ESPN in terms of the game time program because I wanted to watch it. I thought this was primetime TV. They said they were trying to go national, but it seems like everything else that is going on with the Aggies, it fell apart at the last minute. Talk about this matchup between the Eagles and the Aggies.
Yeah, well, Flow Sports, again, probably one of the worst productions I've ever had to interact with. This is the second year in a row we've had to interact with Flow Sports. So Flow Sports, y'all got a lot of work to do, man. I can't say it no better than that. But as it pertains to the game, listen, players are tasked with doing what it takes to win games. From the beginning kickoff to the end of the game, you could tell that there was a difference. One in the offensive line and how the play was in the trenches, as everybody's going to say, the trench play was completely different. But the thing that they did well, that we knew they were going to come into this game and try to do well, was run the ball. And for the vast majority of this game, North Carolina Central took the runaway. As a matter of fact, in the second half, leaving the school down the highway, scoreless in the second half, they did not have but one offensive touchdown the entire game. They had one kickoff return after we had just scored, had one kickoff return taken back to the house after we scored. But this season, that program has a resounding one offensive touchdown this season. Gashed us on a deep run, on a run down the field, and absolutely had nothing else afterward. And this is not because they are somewhat of a really bad program. I think they've got some things they got to figure out, most notably in the offensive in the quarterback room. They've got to figure out who it is. I thought that Yeager played really good and really kind of controlled that offense much better for them than the two previous other quarterbacks. But this is a testament to what I've talked about all summer long, what I talked about back in the spring, what I talked about as we came out of camp. That North Carolina Central's defense is vicious, they're violent, and they are fast. One of the issues that North Carolina Central had last year was they had issues getting players coming off the edge, being able to put guys in position on the edge, on down and distance, being able to go pick up sacks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, if you watched the game, you saw that was no problem. That was no issue at all. There's a NFL caliber right tackle there at the school down the highway. Put hands and feet on him yesterday with our defensive ends. It looked like he was not even existent. The running game, for the most part for them yesterday, outside of the two big gash runs, was absolutely non-existent. Linebackers played really, really good. DB stepped in and played really good. And as we already knew, they were not going to pass the ball very well. And we made that pretty much more evident yesterday as well. So I'm looking at this North Carolina Central defense. We know what we already have on offense. Central already knows what they have on offense. You know you got the most prolific, most dynamic dual-threat quarterback in the country. Their quarterback. You know what you have in the backfield with Mookie Colliers or Mookie Colliers, however you want to say it. You know what you got with Jamari Taylor. You know you got a young receiving core that can be in good situations yesterday, man. Oh, man, an excellent catch yesterday. I don't know if the CAA refs were just trying to keep it a little close. Yesterday we had a one-hand catch on the sideline, toe tap on the sideline by Quinn McCall that they said was not a catch, but we had a chance to run it back and look at it. It's a lot happening yesterday. But I think between what's happening in this backfield and what's in particular happening on this defense, this is going to get really, really scary. UCLA, you on the clock, baby. I promise you on the clock.
Real quick, Violent and Vicious. I've circled October 19th, a little trip to Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I got all the love in the world for Morgan State. I love what they're doing, but you got to come see the top dogs. And just because you are beating and taking care of business against other programs doesn't mean that you're going to come take care of business against us. That's for Morgan. That's for Howard. That's for South Carolina State. That's for everybody else that's on that schedule that's got their chest poked out that feel like because they done took care of business and did what they needed to do was competitive and really, really did what they could against everybody else, you ain't seen the top dogs. And what I will say is you put Eastern Michigan in front of us, you put Akron in front of us with this defense, we take care of business the way you should have.
Shot.
Okay.
I like it.
Violent and Vicious. Hey.
Speaking
we gonna come to you with this matchup. Go ahead.
Speaking of Morgan State, run the ball. Don't try to stretch it outside. Run the damn ball and fall on it. If you got to do anything else, you got a minute left. Run the damn ball. Run the clock out. That's all you got to do. You have one job in life. Run the ball. Fall on it. That's it. That's it. Don't try to stretch it. I don't need an extra yard. Run the damn ball. That's all I got to say. I'm sorry. I had to put that in there.
No, the only thing I can say is it's a young man, so I'm not going to, but don't listen to the play that's called. You don't have to stretch it and bounce it. I won't even say his name because I don't want people to come down on him. With that being said, we're going to go to another game. That was a rivalry matchup. And this one in the SWAC, Jackson State Southern. It was not a SWAC game, thankfully for the Jaguars, but that may not be enough. Let me go to Charles because Joshua Sims just did an excellent breakdown, so we don't need to cover that no more. I think he told us everything you need to know about the Eagles and the Aggies for that much. I'm prepared to talk to anybody this week in terms of that matchup after that breakdown. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of Southern and Jackson State?
That's a huge win for TCU.
This is 4 straight games, right?
4 straight, yeah, 4 straight that they've knocked out Southern.
I knew you were gonna put that out there. I thought
yeah. But to come back after a tough loss to FAMU, I think if you're a Jackson State fan right now, so you kind of taking a look at it, you're going to need help in terms of trying to get back in the SWAC East race, especially with FAMU, with the loss to FAMU. But there are certain things that you kind of check off during the course of the year, and that Southern, that's a check mark. That's a big check mark for the Jackson State fan base. Probably another check mark is going to be, whenever they face Alcorn. So, sometimes when you don't, or if it's looking possible, like you won't have an opportunity to play for a championship game, you start looking at certain games, especially those rivalry games. Anytime there's a win over Southern, Angel has gained their wings. So I always want to put that out there, anytime that happens.
He went to church back on us. Boy, I tell you, let me get y'all out of here as the mass choir will sing. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of this Jackson State Southern? We were watching it in the suite. I'm not going to tell you what the environment was at the suite. Sometimes some things just don't need to be said. But without going to those details, we'll talk about that off the mic, Joshua. In terms of what took place there, the failures. Never mind. Let me not do that. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of Jackson State and Southern?
Well, first of all, Southern, are we? Y'all were talking about the Ledge, right? Earlier in the show.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Coach Dooley. Are you hearing the rumors? Look at all these rumors. Start to me every day. I'm sorry, but man, that game, they had the one big play, that big pass where the defender slipped. But for the most part, Jackson State controlled the game. Southern, if you look at Flood's performance, quarterback with them, he'd have a good, maybe a good series, a good half a series, then it would go down. There was no consistency in their performance. You could talk all the statistics you want, but they had no consistency in their performance. Hats off to Jackson State on the defense. They held Southern at bay, but really it was more so about the inconsistency in the Southern offense. They couldn't get a sustained drive to save their life. So that was my take. That was my takeaway. Flood did a decent job, but man, is he going to be the quarterback of the future? And yes, are they on the plank? I'm not even a Southernite. I know Southern fans though, because their biggest alumni group is in Texas. I can tell you, they are on the plank. I'm telling you.
The Facebook Live, the Facebook Live was hot last night. Ooh, golly.
Oh yes, it was. It was real hot. AD, let's go back to these matchups between the MEAC and the Colonial, currently now the Coastal, formerly known as the Colonial Athletic Association, CIAA, Hampton, Virginia, Battle of the Bay. Hampton got off and got a big victory at Grambling, and everybody was singing the praises that Hampton, all they do is beat HBCU. Norfolk took a rivalry loss to Virginia State, one of those CIAA MEAC matchups, but guess what? Norfolk State, our demise is over-exaggerated. With that being said, Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of Norfolk State, the Spartans getting it done against their rival, the Hampton Pirates, 31-23, and I'm not sure it was that close.
Yeah, well, the one good thing, and it's kind of funny. This relates back to Southern with Dawson Odoms. Southern ran Dawson Odoms out of town because they were unhappy with what he was doing, and he goes to Norfolk. And now the Southernites are, asking questions about Eric Dooley. But anyway, you know that watch list that we had actually started after week 1, that overreaction watch list of coaches on the hot seat? Well, yes. Dawson Odoms got the W and was able to come down that list. He's still on the list, but he's not top 3 anymore on the list of people that we need to keep an eye on for next season for the, possible changes. That Battle of the Bay was ultimately important, especially after coming off of a loss to a Division II HBCU last week. So kudos to Dawson Odoms for getting that dub. Now, for the HBCU killers and in Hampton, well, the killers got killed on yesterday. So now, there's a little bit of order restored amongst HBCU people, because it's something about Tennessee State. They've always been independent, but it's just something about now when you beat Hampton or A&T, because they left us. Tennessee State was never officially one of us because they were always been independent. But those y'all left us for the other folk, yeah, it's an extra special feeling when any of our HBCUs beat those two institutions. And no disrespect to the people who actually go to those institutions, but I just had to put that out there.
I like that. He said Tennessee State never left us. And I think it does well a little bit for Norfolk State, even though there's a rival. The Virginia State came back and got the victory this weekend. So it lets them know, well, maybe they're not so bad, with that being said. But let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll talk about some key matchups before we get out of here and give you your parting shots before you get to your church ceremonies. With that being said, we'll be right back after this last break.
We get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yep.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Mike, I did share the cigars with the other 3 guests on the show. I shouldn't say guests, other esteemed colleagues, but I have plenty to share since I didn't get to use them last night with you. So just letting you know when you get back in town, I got the cigars for you because it didn't work out last night.
I sure appreciate that, Doc. I appreciate it. They waving me over at the bar right now, but I appreciate I got the cigars on my mind.
They might let you slip. They might let you slip a drink, but you can't slip that cigar in that airport. Like, just want to remind you about that.
They got a smoke room. They got a smoke room for him. And he travels high style, so he get the private gate where he can go get his. They bring the cigar to him.
Yeah. Be careful, Mike. We'll be today on News Channel 12. A international star, Mike, has been arrested for bringing in a
Exactly. You ain't
Cuban cigars.
Ain't gonna have me hemmed up like that.
more when we come back from the break.
With that being said, let's get in this first matchup. We're going to stay on the East Coast. East Rutherford, New Jersey, MetLife Stadium, HBCU, NYC, Football Classic, SIAC. Somebody's going to get off the slide. Albany State, Golden Rams, Morehouse Maroon Tigers. We'll see about that this week. But without that being said, Drew, what is your big matchup this week? Mid-major level or major division level? And why?
Commenting on that one quickly. More pressure is on Albany State in that game than Morehouse. Expectations are high for Albany State. Morehouse, they're taking what they can get. But the matchup I want you to watch is Allen versus Kentucky State this week, Dr. Cavil. I told y'all back in July that David Wright was the best quarterback in the SIAC, not named Kelvin Durham. I said it back in July. This will be his opportunity to prove it against a team who you had ranked, and I'm saying had, Dr. Cavil, because I do not expect it to be in your top 7 when your new top 7 comes out this week. But I do. But the question is, where Allen replaced Kentucky State in your poll, and does Allen at 3-0 sound right to anybody on this panel? I'm just because that's what could happen. That's what could happen after Saturday.
Yeah, great points. Joshua, let me go to you about the CIAA. What are your thoughts in terms of the game to watch in the CIAA this week?
Well, you know, 2 of the top 3 teams essentially will have games this week that I think they should be able to take care of. And really all 3 of them. I don't feel like Bowie State's got Shaw this week. I think they should be able to take care of Shaw. You know, Virginia State's got to go and play against. I think they have Elizabeth City, St. Aug coming in town. They'll be at St. Aug this week. They should be able to take care of business against them. And then Virginia Union this week has got Livingstone coming to town. Or they'll be at Livingstone this week. So I think all 3 of those teams should be able to take care of business. Winston-Salem State again coming out of the South. You know, they've got a pretty sizable task this week again. Fayetteville State again. Which Fayetteville State team are we going to see come down the stretch now, man? This is now when Fayetteville State and Winston State is going to have some tough ones. So I'm not really seeing a game this week in the CIAA that I don't feel like the top dogs, the top draw, the 3 who I believe to be the best teams in the conference are going to have an issue with this week. So I look forward to both Bowie State, all 3, Bowie State, Virginia State, and Virginia Union, all coming out victorious this week. And then what do we see come from Fayetteville State this week? Can they get another W this week? Can they find a way to make themselves, cement themselves as the top dog in the South? Winston State apparently don't want to be the top dog in the South yet. I hope that they'll find a way to cement themselves, man, because that'll make them look even better. But I don't know, man. Those 3 games right there, I don't want to say that they're intriguing, but can the top dogs continue to be the top dogs?
I like that. He said the top 3 teams in the North let the good times roll. Speaking of the good times, Charles, let's go to you. SWAC, where are you going? What are your SWAC games of the week? Which one? What are you looking at in the SWAC?
Alabama A&M at Southern. This is going to be a very rough week in Baton Rouge. I'm sure the sports talk shows, the media will be pretty dogged behind Coach Dooley, but I just do not see Southern losing 2 in a row in Mumford. I think this is a blip on the radar, but now this week it gets real. Now you've had those 2 games that don't count. Fan base is in a little bit of an uproar, but I think this is a big one for the Southern Jaguars, and I expect them to answer the call. I think this is going to be a very good game, but it's going to be a tough fight. This Alabama A&M football team, they're going to be ready for a brawl, so I'm looking forward to it.
Can I ask a question on that game? Can I ask a question about that game?
Yes.
Quick. Does the losing coach in that game move up our watch list, y'all?
I think they do, but on my watch list, I guess we always have to have the notes. We talk about fans on the ledge, and I think when you talk about coaches on the hot streak, are you talking about from a fan's perspective, or are you talking about from a university perspective? Because from a university perspective,
I'm talking about from the fans' perspective. Oh.
Yeah, and the reason I say that from a university's perspective, we need to make sure we mention contracts. But oftentimes, I agree with you, A.J. Drew, usually when we talk about it from a fan's perspective. And you're right. I think if you're looking at it from a fan's perspective, whoever loses that certainly moves up on the list to answer your question. Great one, as you put it out there. Mike, let me go to you in terms of the SWAC. What direction you going with in terms of your SWAC matchup? You agree with Charles, or you going in a different direction?
No, I got a bonus for you. I will take that one. But I don't think this is an easy win for Southern. I don't think this is a chance for Southern to come and sow their oats and pick up their, their gravitas. After they got a confidence issue, in my opinion. So, and if you've ever been in Baton Rouge when things are not going well, it's not just a few rooms. Things are turning. So I think that's the game. But I think the Hampton Howard game is that game this weekend coming up.
That would be.
Yes, it is. That's why I was going for my MEAC game.
Yeah, that's a MEAC game I would look at because that's going to answer a few questions. Number one, either way. So those would be my two to kind of keep it short before you cut my mic off, Dr. Phil. So, and then
you've been good today. No problem with you.
Yeah. Going back to that CIAA, you asked Josh. It's the North versus the South. That's a no-brainer. Yes, the North is going to win it. You talking about Livingstone, St. Augustine? The teams combined are owing $1 million. Seriously, the North. Seriously, we really asking this question?
Hey, Charles, he had to put in his own basketball. He didn't moved on from Valley. Now he's picking on the whole CIAA South.
It was
like I tried to provide some levity. I tried to provide some levity with that Winston-Salem State, Elizabeth City State game, but it's just the top three dogs.
It's not sexy. That game is not sexy.
Yeah, it's nothing sexy this week.
That don't look good. That ain't the pretty baby we looking for. So,
yeah, exactly.
So
you mean the pretty baby is Valley going to Delta State? That's the pretty baby.
Not gonna kiss because they're not pretty. Joshua. Yeah. Well, where are you going in the MEAC? I think we touched on it, but I would ask you this as you talk about Hampton Howard. I want to know why and how close is the Morgan State Townsend to being on that list as the second one to watch, I'd imagine.
Yeah, honestly, Doc, I mean, if I had to put a pendulum as far as levels of importance in the conference, literally, like right there at the top is that Howard Hampton game. You've got Q Will and you've got that offensive line and that running game with Eden James and those backs that they got, and Jaden, all of those guys that they have in that backfield, big receivers, going up against a Hampton team that, listen, minus the turnover bug that they have with their quarterback, Zealous, the kid has been playing fairly balanced. I mean, he's an incredible dual threat, can throw the ball, can run the ball. He passed for 2 touchdowns yesterday, but he also threw 2 interceptions. He did the same thing the week prior. He's finding a way to be able to put up throwing touchdowns, passing touchdowns, but throwing just as many interceptions as he's throwing. But then what he can do on the ground is what makes him incredibly dangerous. Now, that Hampton defense is where we're going to have to circle. That Hampton defense is going to be up to test next week, this Saturday coming, because Howard's offense is no joke. They got a big offensive line that loves to push your team back. They can run the ball and control the clock. And in a game now that we know where the clock continues to keep ticking over and over and over again after first downs, the time of possession is what's going to be the difference in this game. Hampton's going to want to go fast. Howard's going to want to go slow. It's going to be a match of time of possession in that game. Second on that list, you hit it right on the head, Doc. Morgan State and Townsend. Last year, Morgan State barely, just so slimly almost beat Townsend last year. We don't give moral victories, though. But the Morgan State team last year, who was improved this year. I mean, that defense is no joke. I mean, Elijah Williams is as good as they say, ladies and gentlemen. He should be playing on Sundays next season. He is incredibly good. They line him up in the 0. They line him up in the 1. Sometimes they put him in the 3 tech. They got probably the best linebacking core in all of college football. So I'll be looking to see what their front 7 can do against that Townsend offense that is, and a lot of times, very pedestrian. Townsend's offense is not a very high-powered offense. They had to replace a lot of guys this past season. I look forward to a Morgan State team that is finding a way to be in games with a quarterback issue. They put Deuce in yesterday. Deuce figured it out in the second half, and they were very narrowly. They should have walked away with that W yesterday. I don't expect that to happen against Towson this week. I think they take care of business. And then third, of course, you know I got to sprinkle it in there. I wouldn't be right if I didn't put a cherry on top of this ice cream. We land in L.A. Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen. The top dogs land in L.A. on Thursday night. And if anything, if y'all get a chance this week and you want to know, does North Carolina Central have a chance this week? First of all, let's be honest. We absolutely have a chance. But go back and look at Coastal Carolina versus UCLA. Similar concepts, similar play calling styles, and our defense is faster and more vicious than Coastal Carolina's defense was. Watch what happens with the front seven of North Carolina Central against a young and undersized UCLA offensive line, a freshman quarterback. That if you go back and look, last two games has not been so delightful. Look for North Carolina Central's front seven to put the pressure on them with probably the best defensive backcourt in all of college football right now. With those guys we got in that back seven, that back five, them guys is no joke, man, and we can switch them in and out. I look forward to us going to LA and taking on this task. UCLA, you on the clock, baby. You on the clock. We'll see you.
I would just say vicious. I would just, Mike, your mic is muted. I want you to get that out there.
I said, what you saying, Josh? So what are you saying? What are you telling the people?
What I'm telling people, Big Mike, because it's Sunday and I have a little bit to get off with this. I'm telling you right now, UCLA, we gonna beat y'all.
It's vicious. I will say this, that Southern and Alabama A&M game is interesting because while we talk about those SIC and SWAC upsets, you know, A&M was just up on Lane 14-7 at half, but they put up 37 points in the second half. So has A&M got it right on the offense, which makes even more intriguing in terms of the tough defense of Southern. The struggling offense, yeah, I agree with you. That one becomes a little more interesting in terms of what that looks like. So I'm fascinated with those matchups as things get going. A couple of scores got out of hands for the SWAC, but I won't even say them because I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, Joshua Sims Sr., A.D. Drew. That is part of the team from, obviously, the Sports Wrap, and you can join AD and Brian this evening as they get it going tonight, and then X's and O's as we continue to see what that looks like with BJ Jones, the curator of HBCU Weekly, Joshua Sims Sr., curator of HBCU Nightly, and Erica as she continues to bring it hot and heavy. We hope you enjoyed the show. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Shout out to all the lab listeners. We'll be back on Tuesday, Mike and Charles, at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time to prep you and get you ready for what took place this weekend in terms of the poll rankings. And remember, we're going to give you the marching sport poll rankings as well. That's on Thursday to get you prepared for some of these big games of the weeks. We're heading into week 3 already. Oh, my goodness. It is that time. A little bit more. We're going to see who continues to be on the ledge, who may step off the ledge, and who might want to get on the ledge, because Charles is not scared to let you know along with the rest of the team. Follow us for the latest next week as we'll tell you, discuss the latest news on the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, DrKenyattacavil, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Shout out to Joshua Sims as he continues to bring it on his shows. Shout out to A.D. Drew as he gives you a great breakout throughout the week. Shout out to Charles as he is making the rounds. He is getting it done. The voice coming right out of here from inside the HBCU Sports Lab. He's giving you insight and outsight, all the data and numbers. And for Mike, we just want to make sure that we can continue to find him and make sure he makes the rounds as he travels the world. And
he makes his rounds all right.
Yeah, we're going to make sure he don't get in trouble at the airport, but take a shot for us, Charles. We'll get you on that. With that being said, dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike?
Lecture.
Dismiss, y'all. Let's get out of here. Get out of here on that one, y'all. Dismiss before we get thrown off the airwaves.